Hey guys, welcome back to Missing Wrenches Garage. It is a beautiful fall Granger County morning here in eastern Tennessee. I just got the Optima back from the dealer, and thankfully it was not a transmission issue. The power restriction, which I actually thought this is what it was, is the plugs are fouled in it, and where it was burning oil, it was starting to clog the converters. So I went to O'Reilly's. They were the only ones that had these in stock. Bought a new set of plugs. The NGK laser iridiums, $80 later for 4 of them, keep in mind. And I bought some Cataclean. I've heard pretty good things about this stuff, so I'm gonna give it a go for myself. And also, I've drove this car all over God's creation this morning, so that means that the porcelain on these spark plugs are going to be about 1 billion degrees. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Alright, so I am going to pull this engine cover off for the 1000th time this week. And now I get to go look for tools and change the plugs in the Optima. Great. Alright, so after about 70 billion and 999 minutes, I finally found the tools to work on the Optima. So let's get to it. Alright, so with the Cataclean, the directions say get down to about 1/4 tank and pour it in there and drive for 10 to 15 miles and then refuel and use 2 to 4 times a year. So I'm at 1/2 tank, I mean 1/4 tank right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in there, and I'm gonna change the plugs and we'll go for a drive. I've heard a lot of people saying that lacquer thinner was actually good for cleaning the converters. Just pour a little bit in the tank and run it. But I don't know, I've never done it. I just saw some videos about it, but to be honest, this stuff actually smells like paint thinner, so it might end up being the same thing. I don't know, but we're gonna go ahead and pour it right down the gullet, and we're gonna change the plugs, take it for a ride, and pray the issue's solved. Alright, so to change the plugs on this car, and like most every other newer car this day and age, alright, so you got your coil caps over the plugs, and I don't think I've got enough harness to pull those coil packs straight up without unhooking them. So what I'm gonna do, just in case, is, like I said in the last video, I really don't like unplugging stuff on new cars without knowing for certain if it's going to blow anything or not. So I'm just going to unhook the hot post for the battery before we take those coils out. I was asking a guy down at O'Reilly's, just out of curiosity, how much a coil was for this car. Those are $88 a piece. Oh, good Lord. Alright, so another thing I'm going to do, it probably doesn't do any good to help, but I'm going to do it anyway, just for peace of mind, is after you unhook your battery, just come in here and flip the light switch a few times. Open the door. It just helps knock surface charge out of the harness. A lot of people don't believe in it, some do, but I mean, it's like, it's just what they tell you to do when you unhook your airbag, just in case it doesn't explode and bust you in the mouth. Alright, so to undo your coil pack harness, come over here and under this little gray tab, this is just a safety lock. Just push up, then on the black part, push down, and it'll slide right out. Alright, so after all your coils are unhooked, these are just held in by one 10mm bolt on all 4 of them. After you pull those out, just be careful with them so you don't pull the spring apart on the inside of it. Alright, so after we get those out, your plugs will be in under it, and then we'll get those out and we'll show you how bad they were burning. Okay, so just a word of advice on the bolts for those coils. They're a 10mm, but a deep well is going to be your best option because these Hyundai/Kia engines actually have 2 fuel pumps. So you have a low pressure fuel pump in the tank, and under this right here is called your high pressure fuel pump. Don't ask me why. Couldn't tell you. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just relaying the message. Just figured that'd be helpful. Because the bolt for your number 4 coil, the fuel line is right in the way for a short shank socket. You've got just the perfect amount of space for the deep well. So remember from the previous video, objects can flee, but you bolt right back where it come from and you'll never lose it. So when you get back here closer to this high pressure fuel pump, you may end up having to unplug the what I believe is a pressure regulator, just so you don't get in a bind and possibly separate the wires from the pins. You are going to have a problem. Also, it looks like this car is probably going to need a valve cover gasket pretty soon. That's great. More stuff for me to do. Alright, so I got all 4 coils pulled out and laying in the same exact order they came. I know it doesn't matter, but it helps the brain think that you're doing the right thing. That's warm. I wonder what Derek Barry's doing today. Not watching me, that's for sure. If you're not one of the 1.86 million of his subscribers on Bicycle Garage, just go do that. It's a good show. Him, Pole Barn, Garage, Sleeper Dude. I like all those pretty good. Mortsky Auto Repair, he's okay. Clunkers and Classics, that's another one I like watching. Those are all really good shows. So go on over and like, comment, and subscribe to them also. Don't forget me as well. All good guys, all good content, all good shows. Be sure to go watch their pages. Alright, so I don't know how very well you guys can see that, but I got all the lightning rods out of it. They come from the factory, a race car by the way. There is oil down the threads of the spark plugs. That's fine. We'll just pretend that we didn't see that and just keep lugging away with what we're doing here. So You don't have to do this, but I'm doing it because with this being a newer motor, it has an aluminum head on it, which, if you know anything about the Ford Triton series, those aluminum threads are very fine. Even on these, they're still a pretty fine thread. So I got a pack of the Permatex dielectric grease just to keep those coil packs good and lubricated for the pipe to pull them back off again. On the 73 up there that I was working on, every plug wire broke. And I got some NICs. I'll probably put just a little bit on that because with it being aluminum thread. So, just helpful tips. Alright, so here's our new lightning rods. Whole world of difference from what I took out of it. Should add about 5 horsepower. Doubt it. Alright, so when you get these tubes of stuff and you're trying to scram around, just finding something to poke a hole into the metal seal with, a lot of people don't know this, but just take a time to think and look in your hand. You're already holding it. The top of the lid, there's this little pin piece that sticks out. And there you go, it's open. And also, just a little bit of this anti-seize goes a long way. You don't have to waste the whole tube on just a couple lightning rods. But we're going to anyway. Why? Because we like to spend money. Unnecessary money, to be exact. So, after we get the 73 running again, I plan on pulling the motor out of it. What do y'all want to see with that thing? Do you want to see, like, you know, just a simple plain Jane back to stock truck? Or do you want to see like a resto mod type deal? It'll probably be a little bit of in between of both, to be honest. But let me know on that. Alright, so I've got all the lightning rods back in the motor. And I forgot to put the diode electric grease on the coil side of the plug. So what I'm going to do is, well, it's got the extended tip. I'm just going to shove it right down in here. Hold it straight down. Just give it a little squeeze. Right down into it. You probably can't even see it because it's a clear looking color. But just know that it's in there. I'm gonna have to quit working on this newer stuff of my wife. They're so finicky and you just don't want to do it wrong. You end up buying all the proper stuff. Proper things. This is not the channel for proper things. If this was mine, I'd have just slapped those plugs in it. No lubrication at all. And sent it. Might make my wife start doing her own mechanical work. She wants all this fancy, correct stuff done to it. I don't know, get her out here and get her moving. It might hurry up and reduce that labor. Alright, now that all the new ones are in, and when it's time to put your coils back on, you're not even going to feel these click. And that's normal. It's not like a normal spark plug wire. You'll feel those click. So I'm going to get the rest of these coils on, and we'll take her up the road and see how she does. Also, don't forget, when you're reassembling your coils and putting the wiring back in, don't forget, push down on that lock tab. You don't want to be going down the road and that plug not be locked in all the way, and you have a random misfire code come up, and then you're just all upset because you thought you did a good job, and then now it's doing the same thing it was doing. Helpful tips. Alright, so that was just exactly what this car needed. I've been driving it around town for a little while now. Came over here to do a few things. It's running exactly like it was, if not better, than the day I bought it. The cataclean seems to be working pretty good. The exhaust does smell like somebody's dirty rear end right now because where all the stuff's burning out of it. But other than that, I think I'm going to close out on the Optima for a little bit. And when I get back home, I'm going to start on the 73 again. I am going to take the carburetor off and take it apart, clean it out and everything, get a rebuild kit put in it. So I went up there this morning and the throttle is still froze on it. I feel like that one's going to be a headache, but we will get it going again. And remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All that does things. And we'll see you guys when we get home. Y'all have a good one. Thank you for watching. God bless you.